Welcome to episode 9 of What's in the Box. I am Tolgar Alpaga, VP of Marketing here at Tatsoft, and with me every week is our founder and CTO, Mark Taccolini. Mark, how are you today?
Great.
So today's episode is an exciting one for me because it's all about demos and demonstration and visuals. So if you are tuned in on the podcast, I would recommend for this episode that you maybe visit the LinkedIn Live page or our YouTube channel or the website and just catch this. But I am super excited. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things that we've already discussed in previous episodes, but we're going to be getting a little deeper in terms of how we can connect some of those pieces together. And also, we're going to be talking about the demos that are available for you to download on our website. So actually, let me reverse the order. We're going to be talking about the demos first, and then we'll be moving on to connecting the pieces. And those pieces that we're going to be discussing are MQTT, the Canary Historian, and HTML5. So without further ado, Mark.
Good. Let me start with well, first of all, of course, sharing my display. Okay. Okay, good. And perfect. Okay. Let's start with that. With the release of 90.1, we are shipping 4 applications, and we are shipping 1 master project with those 4 applications. And we are also sending those 4 applications that I'm going to discuss as their own projects. So the first thing you are doing a demo here is we can very easily combine different projects if you want to have a solution composed by those individual projects. And I will go briefly to each one of them to see what we have on each one of those projects that may be helpful to give you ideas when doing your own solutions. The first one, I'd like to show here that we have that new library using the high performance graphics specification. So this button, it's not really changing color scheme, it's changing the screen. So you can compare how you do a screen following the high performance HMI standard and how we do the same project using the more traditional and colorful style of HMI on the system. And all those symbols that are used on those display in our graphical library. So if you go to the drawing tool, let me show you where are those. If your company are planning to apply those standards, we have that new library that called high performance, where we create lots of symbols following all the specifications of that type of interface. Let's go back here. And this project also is a good example in how we can organize a little bit the frames to have an alarm in the bottom. So there are a few customers that are using that templates also to be some sort of templates to their own applications, as basic trend page. And another thing that we are showing the example here is this trend chart we enable to show the alarms. So one feature that I found out many of the users didn't knew that we had also added is those trend charts. They can automatically overlay when we have an alarm connected with that pen. And we can also, it's not the demonstration I'm going to do today, but in addition to the alarms, we can also overlay custom annotations that the operator is typing, and or we can query from a SQL database. By the way, Togar, if you want to be the user's advocate, you should make sure we also do one day a demo with the annotations parts. Can you hear me well?
Oh, you know what? Might have a challenger. I said I took the annotation down, so we'll definitely cover that.
Okay. Just make sure. Okay. So let's go out to the main. Another useful example we are seeing together is that Tatsoft Factory Studio calculation that we show how to do if that's also some sort of training, because it explains if you need all the concepts around OE, and we run a simulated production line that you can put some simulation here on the facts, and we can see how that will affect your calculation. But another thing that we are showing in this application is another style of applications that where you need to do more dashboard styles. In that case, we have that ability, instead of resizing the screen proportionally, we can resize so that the dashboard will be responsive. So if I open this screen now in my iPhone, you'll see we automatically put that in a better way. And we also have that option to have the navigation here on the left side or in the bottom to be more smaller, if that's an application that you are creating to be leveraging what we call our responsive dashboards. Okay.
You know, Mark, I'll just tell you, I was involved with creating some of these demos in terms of, you know, the design aspect and what it was before and what we could do now with the capabilities in the dashboard. Because when we designed this part, we call this the learning center, this what is OEE portion. And now what we can do with the new things that have come out in the 9.1 capabilities are just, you know, incredible in terms of workflow time.
Exactly. And one thing that's quite useful to the users to see, here I'm not running 2 or 3 Factory Studio projects. I'm only running one application that we did a merge of some demos that we had. And this same application is able to change the behavior on the fly, depending on what kind of data we are showing. So for instance, this process diagram, you see that when you resize, it will resize proportionally. Sure. Okay. So let's resume from where we were. Okay. So I was explaining that we do have the ability, this same project that I'm running here, okay, when I'm showing that kind of user interface, of course, it doesn't make sense to resize proportionally and not try to reorganize the valves and the tanks on the screen. But these same projects, when I have in this other screen, it will act with another behavior. So when you do your application, you can very easily on the same application, depends on the type of data that you're showing, to have that decision dynamically. And just to make sure that we are okay, Tolga, do you have my audio okay now?
Yeah, no, I've got you great. It was on my end, so.
Perfect, yeah. Next, we also are delivering a demo for one unknown project. And so that, by the way, that PDF there has some information. So here we show how we do the more traditional animations and some other examples of dashboards. And here on dashboards, we create those dashboards with some styling that lots of people like. Some people say that they don't like too much our trend charts, because by default the background is white, something like that. Okay. So here what we're showing this application, that the look and feel of your application is completely up to you. So you see here the style of this application with those dark backgrounds, the style we do the trend chart on those dashboards, that kind of indicator. There are some open source tools that they have that style that people like. But the explanation here that are showing, that's just the styling. You can pick up our tools or components, and if you want to mimic any style you like from another package, we allow lots of customization on those objects. I think that's the main message on that one. And of course, if you are doing an application that you are doing some sort of unknown projects, we will have some ideas here and some components to be also an idea to you how to deploy that. Okay.
Okay.
Another example is when I'm doing assets that or integration panel. That let's open the demo here. So essentially, this demo will show how you can do the automated position on the asset based in your asset model, and also how we can integrate additional information on that. And those points that you see here, it's completely up to you what that pop-up will be, or what kind of information we are going to have interaction, or making that change color when you have alarms. It's very easy to customize that behavior. So that's the project example when you have that kind of integration. And one thing that's not very common, but we put in this project also an example how to do AutoCAD files, 3D models being updated on the system. So what I'm looking here is not a graphical image. Here you are doing the interaction with the 3D models directly, okay? Mm-hmm. And by the way, that's something a little too new yet. Realistically, I must tell you that they are not really doing that yet, but there are some standards creating on the representation of the elements. We are keeping that in background development because we understand that something that right now is nice for demos, but not that is really much people using yet, but that we may change in the future.
Mark, for performance related to that, is that a graphical card enhancement again, in terms of what you would need to optimize?
Right now, those 3D models is one of the few things that we run on .NET clients, but not on HTML5 clients. By the way, this demo is was created in, we use the .NET clients just to be easy, so we don't need to set up web servers when running. But most, if not all, that you see here could be in a HTML5 also. But the 3D models, as I did explain, we have one video about that I explain the difference between the technologies. Okay. And
Mark,
there is still high performance on that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, we've got a question here that came 3 minutes ago, so I just want to catch it before we continue on. But Hezron's asking, can I link this TIA portal?
We do have some tools to not to use the new TIA portal API that I know they put out. We have one partner of us in Germany. They are researching some new APIs that Siemens put out that allows you the integration directly with TIA portal, because so far we're able only to browse tags, use the standard drive connections. But I'll have to follow up that in another time, because I need to catch with the people in Europe that's who is researching that. Right now, that's not anything that we have released, but I am somewhat familiar with that new APIs they put for TIA portal, and we're definitely looking at that.
All right, thank you, Mark. Hopefully that answers your question, Hezron. Let us know.
And another thing I'd like to show, when you open that project, I won't do that now to save time. But essentially, you can, this entire area here is one symbol. So when you look at this page, you may think, okay, that's a symbol, that's a symbol, that's a symbol. No, all this area here on the what is OEE is one symbol. So if you want to reuse that on some display, here, these components that change the color automatically based on the level. So that's a good example also on how advanced your symbols can be. Because when you talk about symbol library, some people think, okay, that's one symbol to a symbol library. No, the symbol library can be full working pieces of your application that you can deploy in different screens or mapping to different assets very quickly. Okay.
Got it.
Good. So let's go back here. And yeah, those are the 4 main applications that are delivered with the product now. But we are going to cover that on the end of the presentation, where you can find more. Let's save that to the end. You told make sure you ask me that on the end. But
all right, you got it.
Anyway, let's switch to another computer here, and I'll ask the help of Otávio. Is this gentleman here? Otávio, can you share your screen, please, to show the demos you have in your computer? Starting with the solar panel, please. Oh, I think, yeah, you are not sharing yet, please. So let me stop my sharing here just for 1 second as we set up that other one. And instead of doing that on the end, perhaps you can put your question right now on how we manage those demos, where we can put more. Tolga?
Yes. You want me to answer that?
Well, give some base information on the forum, on the documentation websites, and then sure. I'm going to put more information.
Yeah, I was just going to load. Let me just load this so I can tell everyone very quickly what you get. So our demos, the 4 that Mark featured there that come with the product, are located on our website, tatsoft.com. There's a large orange button on the top that says try new demo. But when you download what you're going to get, it's a short form here. We're just trying to get you quickly acclimated. There's 2 hours resettable runtime. multiple demo projects, as you know, that you can review and learn from, 500 COM points, access to all the features in Factory Studio 9.1 powered by FrameworX. So that's a key one there. Access to all our standard communication protocols, the MQTT broker, which we're going to be covering again a little bit later in today's episode, OPC server, and then for docs support, it's docs.tatsoft.com, which you have unlimited access to, and it's unlimited access to our forum at forum.tatsoft.com.
Okay, perfect. And meanwhile, I got a message from one of our engineers that we do have the communication driver with GIA Portal. So if you go to our driver lists, you'll be able to have that screen there. Okay.
How's that for real-time answers? That's perfect. Yes. Thank you, Mark. Hezron, so if you heard Mark there, just go check that out, and it should have some answers.
Yeah, and just one thing that I'd like to point out that's slightly difference is one is the integration with the GIA Portal, and another is regarding read and write data that we have. But they also have some APIs for you to have better integration with their configuration tools as well. So that's the technology that we are considering to use also. Okay. Good. So let's go back here to my screen sharing. So all just right. 1 second here. And oops, wrong link. So do you see already my screen?
No, it disappeared. You had it for a moment.
Okay. So let me jump to that. Okay. It should be coming any moment now.
Okay.
Stop and start and share. But anyway, in this example, I'm opening this web page here. Okay. So this application was created to use HTML5 page. And what we're showing here is that you can have an asset model. In this case, we create those tags inside our own application. But the concept can be MQTT, can be an external asset modeling, or can be our own asset tool. But in this case, I was really focused on how we can do responsive displays. So when I go to this application here, we did that similar to the other demo we have. We do the position of the map automatically. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you see the number of assets you have in each area, they are not the same. So this area, we have only 3 solar panels. In this other area, we have more. And the screens, everything here is creating dynamically based on what we have from the data models. Mm-hmm. So it's not that we had to hard codes now to show 90 and hard codes now to show 3. That is defined dynamically. And also, instead of mapping, you're showing that same information dashboards. So if I have this city selected and I switch between map and dashboard, we keep the context. Okay. By the way, that's one big benefit. Let's do appearance on that in our HTML5 interface.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know if it's you or Octavio, but could he enlarge the screen there just a little bit?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. We can put like that.
Great. Thank you.
And okay. So essentially, when you do some tools that they have HTML5 pages, it's not that easy to keep the context. What I mean by that, and in this web page, so I go to another complete part of the system. I want to keep the context on what asset is selected. So in our tool, the way we have the organization and we have those client-side tags, you can do quite advanced HTML5 applications, not really to having to know much about HTML5 or JavaScript. Just to give one example, to define the layouts here, you go to display, and under display you have layouts, and here you can very easily define what are your HTML pages that will be composing your layout when you start the application. And when you are doing the navigation on the application, I will show the configuration for that HTML bar header, because you told me, Toger, some people like the details.
Yes, absolutely.
So here you see there is no JavaScript code, no HTML5. We just create an action that when you click on that button, you open this display, that's the map in the working area. And here we open on the working area the dashboard. So what I'm showing here is the only configuration you need to do to create your browser, that layout where you have that header, you have the left side with the assets, and here you have a working page. And that configuration I did show is doing that navigation here, okay? And another thing this application does that's interesting, when I select this city, I have 3 assets. When I select this city, we will populate and create a scroll bar with all 9 assets. And that also dynamically based on the data model. I have only one symbol, only one screen to do the representation of my solar panel. And we'll populate the dashboard dynamically based whatever you have on the selected data model, okay?
Okay.
So if I go to this other one, this has only 2 underneath, okay? And also dynamic is the decision if I want to populate the tree with many assets, or if I pick up only one asset, we do dynamic the decision to show a detail page of that specific assets. If you are showing only one, there is no reason if you are showing only one to show that small object. If only you have selecting your filtering is one symbol, you can dynamically make the decision to show a bigger UI for that select assets. And when you do the navigation to another one, it's still the same web page. We're just remapping dynamically that page to show the contents of that other element in your application. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if I go to the project configuration, that's the really key points here. If you go to my displays, you see, let's switch to card view. You see, I don't have really many displays in the application. In fact, I have some navigations here for the login, and then I have one page for the dashboard, one page for the detail, and that detail page here that I'm showing is this one here. And it's only one page for the entire system, okay? That will be dynamically remapped. The same for the symbols that this application are using. This symbol that is the representation of the elements is dynamically put on the screen based on the number of the assets. And we do have, that's for another training, many ways to do that in our products. To create template, go ahead.
I apologize. I just wanted to ask you this because this kind of relates to the applications when you were showing earlier with our demo projects, the OEE, where you said this dashboard essentially is a single symbol. Is that kind of what we're looking at? Okay. All right. I just want to make that inference. Thank you.
Exactly. Same concept. But the difference on the OEE, we're doing the OEE only for that one production line. Here in this application are showing how we can remap dynamically the same UI to different parts of your data model.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Logic behind the template.
And we do have more than one way to do that. We do have one thing we call reference tags. We have the new technology that we're calling data providers or tag providers. That was my video with Walker. And this specific demo use another way that we have to do that that is to create very easily placeholders when you create your application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy paste on Notepad so I can put some really big fonts here because there is no way you'll be able to read what was that. Okay, a little, little less. Okay.
Maybe, yeah, there we go.
Okay, now we are good. So essentially, what we do when we create applications in our product, doesn't matter if it's .NET or HTML5, we can create a placeholder that can be pretty much not necessarily the name tag. Can be, for instance, I'm going to create a placeholder in my system calling selected solar panel. And I'm saying that the default value for that placeholder is the data from the Barcelona solar panel. Here can be pretty much any solar panel because you're going to replace that dynamically, okay? And what's really nice that if you to understand the syntax, and of course we have better training on that, that's not supposed to training, we are saying that this placeholder replace only this piece of the user interface, meaning the location would be shown for whatever asset you have selected, because this property is outside the scope of the selected assets. So what you're showing on the user interface, and let's explain that properly because it's an important concept. When I'm putting this display here, these fields will pick up whatever asset that I have selected and will show one property of that selected asset. So essentially what I'm doing those screens, I'm creating a screen that's here. I'm going to pick up this property from whatever assets I have selected. In this other field, I am picking some other property for the selected assets. So that's how you can very easily create those screens that are generic. Here, this example is the same thing. And also for the trend charts, I'm picking the property voltage from whatever selected asset is. So the first part is what is your selected assets. And then on the trend chart, I'm doing the plot of the voltage for whatever selected asset I have. Okay. And you can use that kind of dynamic replacements, even to do detail pages like that, where pretty much you're mapping everything to one specific asset, or to populate the dashboard with symbols. In that case, the same symbol is applied many times from all the children I have here. And one thing about our product, with my last comment, is that interface does not need to look like that. I will explain that very important, because there are many tools on the market. They have similar concepts that you have an asset model, you go on the displays, but everything here on the layout, everything, this toolbar, this, the UI, you have exactly the same tool to draw the other demos you saw. So one thing that I believe it's one of our strengths, we are able to do those template applications, like there are many data mining tools that they do that, but they have more a hard-coded interface, the way they navigate the assets here and that. In our case, you have a complete free form on everything, on how you be your user interface, as you saw by the previous demos, okay?
No, that's great. Mark, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Can you go back to that screen? Oh, it just disappeared.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just for people who are starting out, who are going to be using this part of the product to develop, let's just say this particular symbol. As a benchmark, just how long does it take you to create one of those symbols yourself?
This application, this complete application that I'm showing did not exist last week.
Wow, okay.
So we started this week Today's Thursdays, and I can guarantee you it was not 3 days.
Yeah.
I need to ask who did, but he pretty much was able to put this little demo application running in 1 day, more or less. Yeah,
Wow.
they take account the time to decide what I want to show. To be fair, probably it was a few days deciding what he wanted to do. Let's use this example on solar panel to binds, what kind of data I want to show. We're having discussing to do that demo for a few days, to be fair. But then this Monday, I talk with my application engineers Monday afternoon and say, okay, I do remember that demo. I want that to be had for Wednesday. And yesterday I received that. Okay.
That's incredible.
That's how fast it is to do that. Talk about some people and giving the proper merits to people doing that. I don't know if you can share also the screen for Otavio directly, or I need to put him on the
I can
Skype.
add him. I can add him to the stream here. Let's just see what happens.
We are going to do that.
Very good.
Yeah, perfect. Because what I'm going to do now, I'm moving to the next and last application I'm going to share today. We are also doing some applications to be easy use cases when using MQTT brokers. Okay. So one thing that we did, let me open here this little slides explaining this application that Otavio is going to show in a little bit. Okay. One typical requirement that we are receiving more or less frequent is that you have here one edge computer running Factory Studio Edge. Okay. And in this example, we are collecting data through MQTT, but can be Siemens, Rockwell, can be anything. And this edge device, instead of publishing the data directly to the historian servers, to everything, first moves the data to another edge device, to another broker, like a factory broker or line broker. And this other broker moves the data to a central station that can be either at your corporate office or can be where you have your main unified namespace for your entire factory. And from that main data model that is the top of the hierarchy, we publish the data to the Canary labs or to any historian for that matter. But in those examples, we're using Canary.
Okay.
So what we are showing here in this example, how
Mark, I'm sorry, are you sharing screen right now or who?
Oh.
Am I supposed to be showing Luis or Otavio's screen or yours?
You were supposed to be showing my one.
Yours. Okay. Let me. There we go.
Yeah, you were supposed to be showing my one because I was explaining the topology of the demo.
Okay.
Do we have now the topology?
Yes. Yeah, we see you now.
Okay, perfect. So as I was explaining, we are doing some use cases on that case where you have the edge device, but the edge device is not publishing the data directly to your servers. It's publishing the data to a local broker. And this local broker, we have another Factory Studio application that moves that to the main broker of your factory, of your corporation. So we have two independent MQTT brokers here in this topology. And those brokers, by the way, they can be any type of broker, but we are using to those tests our own built-in broker. Because one thing I did put the comments on the previous session, that if you go here to our devices, when you have the MQTT protocol selected, you have that option here that gives you the link to install our own built-in broker. But to be clear, the way we develop those applications and the architecture, those can be any type of broker. Okay. And here in the factory floor, it also can be any protocol, not necessarily MQTT. When you move up, our application has the ability to put that on the MQTT. And the scenario that we are running in this little demo, by the way, was also created this week. We put 5 devices to run with 3,000 points on each device. So we're showing that we're able publishing 15,000 points to MQTT every second. I know that's not a huge performance. We can probably go beyond that, but that's just what we did for that specific demo to have a reasonable amount of times. And then our Edge application moves the data from the first broker to the second broker. And that's really key point, without having to create tags. Remember the video we did last week with Walker?
Yeah.
That we can do that configuration without creating tags.
Bypassing the tag process, yeah.
Exactly. That's what you are doing here. And I will switch to top computer a little bit so he showed that configuration, okay? In fact, instead of showing here, can you make him the presenter now?
Sure. Louis, if you want to share your screen, Otavio.
Yeah, and stop sharing mine. So if Otavio, you can start sharing yours, please. I don't see at his screen.
Looks like he's actually dropped out of the green room. So
so
he just rejoined, so he may have had to reboot. Boy, today is just a technical day. All right, Otavio, I see you, but if you want to just share your screen, I'll broadcast that. There we go. Here he comes.
Perfect. Okay. So what you're looking at, if you open the Edge application, we're able to see how we do that moving data from one to another one without having to find tags. So essentially, if you go to the fonts and make the fonts bigger, please. Go to, yes, so we are doing some product training also. So you can make the font size big in the grids. I would say even a little bit more, okay? Some people, they have small devices, so just a little bit more. So essentially, the only thing we did on the configuration, on the address, if you make that column a little bigger, we are mapping the position on the MQTT tree where you move the data down. We are not really putting tag by tag. And it's only one line saying, okay, I want to pick up this part of the tree and move to that other part. And this will work, even the data model underneath that tree will change. So the edge component that is in between the data field running the protocol drivers and the main broker is acting just as a gateway. Because it can, in a generic way, move data from one side to another one. Okay. And if you don't need a user interface for that, we have a product we call IoT Gateway. If you're not running the user interface on the edge devices. And show some screens of that application now, please, Otavio. So showing all the data flow from bottom up of the architecture. So essentially, we are running a simulation tool using, we create an edge application to be the simulation for the data flow. And you see that the red button there was stopped. Now he started the simulation. So this one is in my topology, is the very first one, Factory Studio application, that one that's running the communication protocols that can be ROC, Siemens, MQTT, Modbus, to publish up to the first MQTT broker. In this little example, we are just running some simulation, but can be any kind of protocol. Go ahead. You have a question, Tolga?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, Otavio, can you enlarge your screen, please?
Yeah, or just go to the maximize button. on the top.
That's good.
Okay, next one, we go to the Edge application. So the Edge application, I don't think if we, well, the Edge application, allegedly, we don't need to have any screens. They did some little screen on the Edge application just to showing some information to see the Edge is doing, but this application is that one that was zero configuration, just moving the data. And finally, we go, we publish that data on Canary Labs, and we did another application that will be the Factory Studio application from the, he's showing publish the data on Canary, that Canary receiving those points. And then you go to the number 3 application, that's the one where are consuming the data from Canary. And so this data, we are connecting to this screen with the historian, with the Canary server, but this data was routed through 2 MQTT brokers using our Edge infrastructure before arriving on Canary.
Mark, there was a question before the show that I had asked about this topic that we're covering today, and one of the questions we got, this may be related now at this point, is do you have a native connection to Canary?
In fact, we do. We just created using their .NET API. So even if you are using MQTT, and that's very important to explain, even while using MQTT, when you are doing a screen like that, you don't want to move the historical data through MQTT.
Okay.
Because MQTT, Spark Plug B, allege you can create a data model to move historical data, but frankly, it wasn't created for that. And we did a native integration with Canary that probably we should have also one video, one session about that.
Okay.
Would be a good idea, where we leverage their native .NET connection. And I don't have yet some official numbers, but just to have an idea of performance, the performance we have with Canary is around 10 times bigger than the performance that other products, I'll not mention the competition to be polite, that they do that using web interfaces and web service and other type of integration technology that's not .NET native. By the way, Otavio, I think you can stop sharing your screen. And Tolga, if you put our video again, yeah, so we can have some face-to-face. So the way is this architecture, we move the real-time data using MQTT and many layers of MQTT. But when we are doing the UI applications, we use the native connector that's consuming the data model and the archives directly with the .NET API that's 10, 15 times faster what they have with other products, because we are leveraging that native API that they have.
And that speed translates to more tags, correct?
Well, and also a better user experience.
Yeah.
Because the trend shots that we're running only 1-2 hours of data. We put that to run just before the show started. But when you need to query some data, months of data, the user experience is dramatic.
Infinitely better, yeah.
We have that kind of native integration with some other historian packages. And one of our customers, they were using another solution that was taking 1 minute to plot a trend chart that we are able to plot in 2 seconds. That's the level of performance you have when you do that integration with the data sources.
Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah, and what's nice, you're not losing that ability not to have to create tags and have an easy integration. Because the same way we can consume MQTT dynamically, we can also consume the Canary Labs model and maps dynamic as well. So we can do that kind of generic application I was showing with you in HTML5. You can do that also in other scenarios. So all those applications, we did some few cases showing this piece, but of course, you may have a large application that all those pieces and parts I did show will be working together.
In Harmony. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
I think that's enough examples for today.
Yeah, no,
and go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you for all the demos and demonstration. You know, we were kind of going to focus on MQTT and Canary and HTML5 and brought in, you know, the demo application. So I think it was just a kind of a really nice showpiece. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask them now in chat, whether you're on watching the live stream on LinkedIn or YouTube, or you know, you can always submit your questions on the forum.tatsoft.com and we'll respond. But Mark, unless there's anything else you want to cover, we did have a couple of other questions that came out of, you know, I said pre-show. So, okay. So we covered the native connector. What's next for MQTT and, you know, asset modeling as it relates to us?
One thing that we are doing right now can very easily expose the Canary Lab asset modeling, or very easily expose the MQTT data model and consume natively. We are working to release as part of 9.1, it will not be a new product, it's only one added feature to 9.1, to make that completely generic. So you are able to create an asset model and consume that asset model. So one part is from MQTT down. Another part of that same data model is dynamically consuming data from an OPC UA server. Another part consuming from a storage package. So that concept to have your unified namespace that we talk a lot in the previous presentations, some solutions that are out there, they have that kind of asset modeling, but they start with a very basic definition. You need to put everything in our asset frame, in our asset modeling. So pick up everything and do the connections and the bindings. That's complicated because if you have to create your entire unified namespace in one tool, and that data needs to be getting data from other data sources, you need to do lots of maintenance to keep that in sync. So what we're doing that's very cool is that our asset modeling, we are doing some enhancements in our own way to define assets inside Factory Studio, but most important, we are making the applications very easy to consume in real-time data that's defined in any other type of data source. So we are going to pick up what you saw in the previous presentations with MQTT and Canary and make that open to many type of data sources and being able also very easily mix different data sources on the same application. That's what we're working now to release some.
Yeah, when you think of what that really means and just what that, I mean, that's incredible, because to your point, when you kind of reside in the ecosystem provided by one particular product or tool, you're kind of limited, right? In terms of you got to play by their rules.
The key point is to rely on open technologies and as much as possible, try to consume the necessary data in real time instead of duplicating the data. Those are basic concepts everyone talked for many and many years. I'm not saying anything new here, but to really put that in practice, it's a little more challenging to do that for real and not only as a marketing sentence. Okay.
Yeah. No, understood.
And before the next question, for more, let's call rice and bean projects, we will be the next few weeks doing lots of enhancements in our support portal.
Okay.
So keep a watch on that. We are going to publish many small examples, many additional documentations. The support portal, you need to log in. It's only for we are really using the product. So if you need the way to find those examples you're asking, Tolga, we are going to start publishing more frequently in the support portal.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and we'll push that out when it's ready for everyone to come check that out and with the login info. All right. So the last one I've got here is just around HTML5. What's the roadmap there?
One thing that we are doing, we do have lots of very powerful components in .NET because we are working with Windows Presentation Foundation, .NET for many, many years. And the problem with HTML5, JavaScript, the people tell you, oh, you can do anything. Oh, yeah, it's true. But we don't really want to go to Google and type HTML5 component for this, HTML5 component for that, download that component. It's okay, that's free in many cases, but we still have to learn, okay? So we are keep following that work we have to pick up what the people are mainly using based on our experience with the partners, and make those HTML5 components, they are more out of the box available without having to download and having that wrapper to do the configuration. So you have a more friendly user experience of that.
No,
ideally, we want that you create your HTML5 applications, not having to worry much about HTML5 or JavaScript. We want to make the decision, it will be for operators or it will be for web browsers, and whatever selection you put in our product, we have both. We manage the things as more easy without having to go to code. That's what we're doing right now in HTML5.
No, that's great. You know, when those types of things happen, it's a little more inclusive in terms of folks that can just get right on and start using those easier to use tools. So perfect. All right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Mark? I think we kind of
just say thank you.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for the patience with a lot of small technical videos and audio glitches today.
Well, if you had told me that in 2021 Wi-Fi would be more reliable than Ethernet, I would have said no way. But here we are. So on my end, but
that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, drop them in forum.tatsoft.com, and we will announce next week's episode. We're not going to be airing What's in the Box next Thursday. That'll be taking a week off, but we will be doing a live stream that we'll announce on Tuesday. So with that said, Mark, thank you again, and I will catch you all next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.